All right, this is going to be, I guess, kind of like the part two of the rise of anti-Semitism. First off, I'm going to tell you, no, I'm not a Jew. And the reason I'm going to tell you that is because I'm on the outside looking in, and I'm basically going to bring up things that, yeah, it's going to be hard for some people to hear, stuff like that. But I think there's a lot of Jews that don't understand why anti-Semitism is rising, that type of thing. And there's a lot of things that I've covered in the, I guess you would say technically the first part. This is going to be kind of a bit of an ongoing thing, but things to kind of delve into the gray area rather than just the black and white. And what we're going to start with today is the Greater Israel Project, and I'll just start into it. And then again, this is really you take out of it whatever you take out of it. Whoops, sorry, you take out of it what you take out of it. So whether you call me anti-Semite or whatever, it's not about my opinion. This is about what people are witnessing going on and why there's a rise in anti-Semitism. And we're going to start with the Greater Israel Project. I know I wanted to start with Zionism, but I can't seem to find all my documents on that, but I will. So this one, sorry, let's get to it. This article was published on Global Research on April 29th, 2013. The Global Research's editor noted, the following document pertaining to the formation of the Greater Israel constitutes the cornerstone of the powerful Zionist factions within the current Netanyahu government, which has recently been re-elected. The Likud, L-I-K-U-D party, as well within the Israeli military intelligence establishment. The election was fought by Netanyahu on a political platform which denies Palestinian statehood. According to the founding fathers of Zionism, Theodor Herzl, their area of the Jewish state stretches from the Brook of Egypt to the Euphrates. According to the Rabbi Fishman, the Promised Land extends from the river Egypt up to the Euphrates, including parts of Syria and Lebanon. When viewed in the current context, the war on Iraq in 2006, war on Lebanon, and 2011 war in Libya, an ongoing war on Syria, Iraq, and war in Yemen, and process of regime change in Egypt must be understood in relation to the Zionist plan for the Middle East. Sorry. It later consists in weakening, eventually fracturing neighborhood Arab states as a part of Israeli expansionism project. The Greater Israel consists of an area extending from the Nile Valley to the Euphrates. The Zionist project supports the Jewish settlement movement. More broadly, involves policy of excluding Palestinians from Palestine, leading to the eventual annexation of both the West Bank and Gaza Strip to the State of Israel. The Greater Israel would create a number of proxy states, including parts of Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, the Sinai, as well as parts of Iraq, Saudi Arabia. See the map. I don't have the map here, but anyway. So, okay, I'm just going to scroll down a bit here. Again, and I'm not pro-Palestinian or anti-Israel or pro-Israel or anti-Palestine. What I'm pointing out here is this is what the agenda should be, is what they're following. So you'll kind of understand what's going on in the Middle East a little bit more. So, according to Mahdi Darius Nazarmaroya, if I said that right, in 2011 Global Research article, the OdinYion plan, Y-I-N-O-N plan was Constitution of Britain colonial design in the Middle East. The OdinYion plan is the Israeli strategic plan to ensure Israeli regional superiority. It's insistent and stipulates that Israel must reconfigure its geopolitical environment through balkanization of the surrounding Arab states into smaller, weaker states. Hence the war in Syria, etc., etc. That's why the Israelis are arming ISIS and trained ISIS and stuff. Again, openly admitted by Israeli generals, who two have went to jail in the past 6 months or so for kind of spilling the beans on this. So yeah, so that kind of helps to that doesn't help their case. You know what I mean, like that type of thing. So anyway, keep going. Israeli strategies view Iraq as their biggest strategic challenge from the Arab states. This is why Iraq was outlined as a centerpiece to the balkanization of the Middle East and the Arab world. In Iraq, on the basis of concepts of the OdinYion plan, Israel's strategies have called for the division of Iraq, including Kurdish states and 2 Arab states. The Shiite Muslims and the other Sunni Muslims, one for Shiite Muslims, one for Sunni Muslims. The first step towards establishing this war between Iraq and Iran, which the OdinYion plan discusses. The Atlantic in 2008 and the U.S. Military Forces Journal in 2006 both published widely circulated maps that closely followed the outline of the Yinon Plan, aside from dividing Iraq, which the BID plan also calls for. Yinon Plan calls for a divided Lebanon, Egypt, and Syria, and partitioning of Iran, Turkey, Somalia, Pakistan, and also falling into lines with these views. Yinon Plan also calls for the dissolution in North Africa and forecast it as starting from Egypt and then spilling over into Sudan, Libya, and the rest of the region. Hence, the overthrow of Gaddafi, the overthrow of Saddam, etc., etc. The Greater Israel requires the breakup and annexing Arab states into small states. The plan operates on two essential premises: the survival of Israel, number one, become more regional power, number two, must divide the whole area up into small states by disillusioning and annexing existing Arab states. Small here will depend on ethnic and sectarian composition of each state. Consequently, the Zionist hope is that the sectarian-based state becomes Israel's satellites, and ironically, it's more source of moral legitimation. This is not a new idea, nor does it surface for the first time in Zionist strategy thinking. Indeed, fragmented all Arab states into smaller united has been a reoccurring theme. Yinon Plan, see below. Okay, I'm just going to check something here. Okay, just want to make sure everything's going along good. Okay. Used in this context, the war on Syria and Iraq is part of the process of Israeli territorial expansion. Israel intelligence, working hand in glove with the United States, Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and NATO, is directly supportive of the crusade directed against the so-called Islamic States, ISIS, which is ultimately seeking to destroy both Syria and Iraq nations. Michael Chozdowski, Global Research, September 6, 2015. Last name spelled, first name is Michael, last name Chousudovsky. The Zionist Plan for the Middle East, translated and edited by the Israeli Shahak, Shahak. The Israeli of Theodore Herzl, 1904, and Rabbi Fishman, 1947. In the Complete Diaries of Volume 1, page 711, Theodore Herzl, and founder of Zionism, which Zionism goes back further than that, but we'll talk about it, says that the Jewish state stretches from the Brook of Egypt to Euphrates. Rabbi Fishman, member of the Jewish Agency for Palestine, declares that in his testimony to the United Nations, Special Committees required 9th of July 1947, the Promised Land extends from the river Euphrates, Egypt to the Euphrates, includes parts of Syria and Lebanon. Okay, so there's going to be some repeats in it. From OdinYion's plan, or the OdinYion, a strategy for Israel in the 1980s, published the Association of Arab American University Graduates, Inc., Baltimore, Massachusetts, 1982, special document number 1, ISBN 0-937694-56-8, table of contents, publisher 1. So this is where it's coming from. So this is, okay, number 1. The Association of the Arab American University Graduates finds it compelling and intriguing to integrate its new publication series, special documents, with the OdinYion plan, OdinYion's article, which apparently in Kivunim, Kivunim, directions the journal and of the Department of the Information of the World Zionist Organization. OdinYion Plan is an Israeli journalist. OdinYion is an Israeli journalist and was formerly attached to the Foreign Ministry of Israel. To our knowledge, this document is the most explicit, detailed, and unambiguous statement to date of the Zionist strategy in the Middle East. Furthermore, it has the accurate representation vision for the entire Middle East of the present ruling Zionist regime of beginning with Sharon and Etienne. Its importance, hence, lies not in the historical value, but in the nightmare which it presents. Okay, number 2. I just got to check something here. When you're using Windows Movie Maker, sometimes the mic shuts off, and sorry, you got to watch out for that too. So again, just to recap here, I'm not trying to demonize all Jews. What I'm saying is these policymakers are what's going to lead to more anti-Semitism for the Jews, and Jews need to self-reflect on this big time if they don't want to get caught up in it. I've also, just to refer something I was talking about in the first kind of installment of this. I don't know how I'm going to title everything. Maybe the rise of anti-Semitism, and then what kind of what the topic is. The thing about it is this: is that it's these kind of policies that maybe many Jews are not aware of themselves, and when they do speak out against it, they get called self-hating Jews. Again, I myself is not Jewish. I have no dog in this fight. But what I do see coming on down the pipe is a massive crusade between Islam and neo-Nazis. I know it sounds very crazy, and for those of you jumping in on this channel for the first time, you're probably saying, this guy's insane. Follow the channel a little longer. I can't explain it all in one video. I don't want to divert too much on that topic. See the first video. Follow my 10th Crusade videos, and you'll see how things are moving globally into, we're seeing the rise of what they call the far right, which on the Nolan scale is technically the nationalistic upper left, which in its base right now is mostly made up of nationalists, some hardcore ultra-nationalists, and at the very tip of that spear is going to be neo-Nazis. These are going to be your modern warrior Templar knights when the crusade kicks off. And why do I know there's a crusade? Because I listen to all sides of the story here. I listen to jihadist after jihadist talking about invading crusader nations, that the Muslim migrants, they're sneaking in to invade crusader nations to conquer them for the one world caliphate, which, guess who's the monkey in the middle between the neo-Nazis and the jihadists? Well, that's going to be the Israelis and Jews in particular globally. That's why there's so many Jews are noticing the rise in anti-Semitism, is because the people that were used to be considered moderate are now moving into the upper nationalistic left because of the policies that branch out from Israel into European countries, here in Canada, the United States, and they see this Zionist control on many levels, even outside this plan. But they're also seeing it, and that's what's alienating Israel. The fact that they can't self-reflect, and the fact that Zionism, in my opinion, is definitely a supremacy movement. It's just as every bit as radical Islam. It's just the problem is there's more money behind it, and yeah. So the thing is it will be crushed in the end. Maybe the Albert Pike thing comes into play here, but I digress. So getting back to it anyway, I will be kind of interrupting myself on these just to kind of keep things into context of why I'm doing this. So people, again, if I was an anti-Semite, I would say nothing and just watch it happen. And it's going to play out over decades. It's not going to, this isn't going to happen overnight. These plans don't happen overnight. But it gives you the idea of why people are getting backlash. Again, I know there's not a Jew behind every corner trying to control the world, but the ones that can understand why Jews have to sleep with a suitcase packed under their bed, well, it's policies like this that, basically, if you're going to balkanize the Middle East, you're going to make a lot of enemies. You get what I'm saying? Anyway, 2, the plan operates with 2 essential premises. Survival, yeah, okay, and I read that. Yeah, and becoming an imperial regional power, number 2. The effect of the division of the whole area into small states, okay, we know that. I've already read that. Some of this might be repeating a few times. Consequently, the Zionist hope is, okay, yeah, we got that one. So I'll try to, rather than read things over 10 times. Okay, this is not a new, nor does it surface for the first time. And strategic thinking, extruding fragmented Arab states into smaller has been a recurring theme. This also has been documented very well, mostly scaled in the AAUG publication, Israel's Sacred Terrorism 1980 by Livia Rokach. Livia is the first name, and Rokach is the second name, if you want to look that up. Based on the memoirs of Maurice Charette, Moshe Sharett, yeah, for former Prime Minister of Israel, Rokach's, yeah, I guess Rokach, how you Rokach study document in convincing detail the Zionist plan. It applies to Lebanon, and it was prepared in the mid-50s. Number 4, the first massive Israeli invasion of Lebanon in 1978 bore the plan out into minutes details. The second and more barbaric and encompassing Israeli invasion of Lebanon in June 6, 1982, aims affect certain parts of the plan, of which hopes to see not only Lebanon but Syria and Jordan as well in fragments. This only makes mockery of Israel's public claims regarding their desire for a strong, independent Lebanese central government. Most accurately wanted the Lebanese central government that sanctions their region imperialistic design by signing the peace treaty with them. They also seek to acquiescence in their design by Syria, Iraqi, Jordanian, and other Arab governments, as well as the Palestinian people. They want that they are planning is what they are. What they want and what they are planning for is not an Arab world, but a world of Arabs fragmented that is ready to succumb to Israel's hegemony. Hence, OdinYion is the essential strategy for Israel in the 1980s, talked about far-reaching opportunities for the first time since 1967, and created by the very stormy situation that surrounds Israel. Sorry, I'm coughing here. It's a little dry down here, that's why. The Zionist policy displaces Palestinians from Palestine, is very much active policy, but the pursuit of more forceful in times conflicts such as the 1947-1948 war and 1967 war. The apex, entitled Israel Talks for the New Exodus, including in the public demonstration past Zionist disparals of Palestine from the homeland and to show. Besides the many Zionist documents were presented, the other Zionist plan for the Palestinians of Palestine. Now, one thing about the Palestinians, again, I got no dog in the fight, so I'm going to make everybody mad here, but one of my subscribers said, yeah, one morning I woke up, I was an Arab. The next morning I woke up, I was a Palestinian. And so were they created out of thin air? I mean, you guys argue amongst yourselves. But the case, what we're looking at here is there's a lot of tension, right? And again, I don't know who the good guy or the bad guy is here. They don't play well in the sandbox together. I think that's pretty apparent now. So chicken or the egg, who's worse than who? I don't know. Thing is from a Westerner's point of view over here in Canada, number one, why are we sending Canadian tax dollars to Israel or Palestine? Like, we have no dog in this fight. We have no reason to be there. Why is our governments in the West paying for this? This OdinYion plan cannot go forward without major funding. And major funding doesn't just come from Israel; it comes from the United States. It's being basically implemented by U.S. foreign policy. Henry Kissinger, Zebra Brzezinski, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, George Soros. These are the big players at the top that usually at the top you will come to. And really, again, all wars are bankers' wars. Pretty much all wars in the Middle East are Israeli wars. This is what I'm talking about. So people don't see how it connects, how ISIS was trained up by the Mossad and trained up by U.S. Special Forces and all that. About 4,000 of them were trained up in Jordan. At first they called them the Free Syrian Army. Then when they got out of hand, they called them Al-Nusra because they couldn't use their proper name, Al-Qaeda, etc. Al-Qaeda was originally, again, it always tracks back. Follow the money. But the why is the plan. The plan is that. So when you find this out, yeah, it tends to piss people off when you find out that ISIS isn't there by accident. And ask yourself this. Think of the most radical Muslim jihadists out there. What's the first thing they always yell? Death to Israel. How many ISIS attacks on Israel has there been? 0. Think about that. That tells you something. You have the Syrian Arab army coming out there saying, we're killing foreigners, we're not killing our own people. They are killing some of their own people. There is no good guys in the Middle East. When all the governments have failed the people in the Middle East. It doesn't matter if it's the Syrian government, doesn't matter if it's the Israeli government, doesn't matter if it's the Saudi Arabian government. The people are the pawns in this big game of tug-of-war for the Middle East. So that said, unfortunately, they don't just leave it in the Middle East. We're backing this from every government. Western government is pretty much under the thumb of Israel. Whether, like, people out there who think Obama is against Israel, that type of thing, it's not what he says, it's what he does. He's pretty much controlled opposition to make it look like he's against Israel, but at the end of the day, Libya fell because of the OdinYion plan. It's a part of it. That's why Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama sent to destroy Gaddafi, not because he was a dictator, and they didn't do regime change in that. That's why they're trying to do regime change also in Syria, is because that's to break up the Middle East. Okay, it's very, very clear when you look at it like that. That's why Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, George Bush, these are all the same people. They're all marching to the same tune. They just put on a different, the pig just puts on different lipstick. But, you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. Obama is, some people think, oh, he's this Muslim that's trying to destroy Israel. No, he's going along. You now have boots on the ground. The thing is the poor soldiers that go there, and if you listen to what Henry Kissinger says about U.S. soldiers and soldiers in general, it might make you want to question fighting for your country. And when you find out that all wars are Israeli wars and all wars are bankers' wars, yeah. Now, it doesn't mean there isn't willing participants on the jihadist side. Yeah, mercenaries are like that. You pay them, they fight. That type of thing. And again, when you have Israeli Mossad agents coming out, two prominent generals that came out about 6 months ago saying, no, we've been training, we created this monster. They probably themselves have no idea why it was created. I'm pretty sure most of the Zionists do. Now, not all Jews are Zionists. I know this. Not all Zionists are Jews. Many Christians, what we politically umbrella as neocon is the war hawks in Washington, the war hawks in over there in Israel, and pick a country. They're all in the marching to this drum. So this just gives you an idea of what's going on, how they go about it and stuff like that. Now, there is monkey wrenches in this. Now, is Russia in on this deal? I don't know. But Russia does seem to be the monkey wrench for the OdinYion plan. They came in the 11th hour before Bashar al-Assad. I'm not saying Bashar al-Assad is a good guy. There are no good guys here. That's the whole problem. People get in this idea of black and white, that you're either for Israel or you're for Palestine. You're either for Syria or you're for, whatever. You're for or against. There are no good guys. That's the thing people need to wake up to, is the gray area. There are no good guys. The people in these governments have got to go. If Bashar al-Assad's got to go, Netanyahu's got to go. You know what I mean? These are all bad people. But the trick is there's a lot more going on in the Middle East. There's a lot of different interests. It's not just about breaking up the states for supremacy. It's also about resources. So oil wars, most people understand the petrodollar and the oil wars. That's a part of the supremacy. You can't have mass war unless you control the resources. Golden rule. Ye who owns the gold rules. Gold can be gold. Gold can be oil. Gold can be the ports getting into the, in and out of ports. You control the Mediterranean, you control the Middle East. You're controlling trade. You control the banking systems. You control governments, etc., etc. Anyway, from the homeland to show, besides the main Zionist document was present, other Zionist plans for the Palestination of Palestine. It is clear that the Kivunim, if I said it right, Kivunim document published in February 1982, the far-reaching opportunities of the Zionists, which strategies have been thinking are the same opportunities of which they are trying to convince the world, and are clearly claimed were generated by their June 1982 invasion. It is also clear that the Palestinians were never sole target of the Zionist plan, but a priority target, since their vulnerable and independent presence of the peoples negates the essence of the Zionist state. Every Arab state, however, especially those cohesive and clear nationalist directions, in the real target sooner or later. Okay, just moving down here. This might be a two-part for this thing. Okay, I'm not doing too bad. I'll see how far I can get anyway. Contrast with the details of the unambiguous Zionist strategy included in this document, Arab-Palestine strategy unfortunately suffers from the ambiguity and incoherence. There is no indication that Arab strategies have internalized the Zionist plan in the full ramifications. I mean, for example, is Aragon in with the plan? It seems like he is, but is he really? He is talking about a one-world caliphate, which kind of goes against this plan, right? So, but he could be controlled opposition. We don't know. Instead, they are reacting in inclusivity and shock wherever a new station of it unfolds. Set it up, but deny it when it happens. You know what I mean? This apparently an Arab reaction, and albeit mute, to the Israeli siege of Beirut. The sad fact is that long as the Zionist strategy for the Middle East is not taken seriously, Arab reaction to any future siege or other Arab capitals will be the same. Kahali, Nakahela, I just can't say these names. Khalil Last name Nakhleh. July 23rd, 1982. Forward by Israeli Shahaka. I'm just going to scroll down a bit again. Hang on. The following essay represents, in my opinion, the accurate, detailed plan for the present Zionist regime of the Sharon and Etienne for the Middle East is based on the division of the whole area into small states. This dissolution of the existing Arab states. It will comment on the military aspect of this plan in the concluding one. Note, I want to draw the attention of the reader to several important points. Just going to sidetrack before we get to those points. This for my American audience that's listening to this, does this now not kind of make sense why the Americans are in the Middle East? The Israelis could not pull this off themselves. There's no way, even as powerful as their military is, they just don't have the manpower. There's only one government or one military in the world that can really pull this off, is the United States. They're the only one that has a military big enough. That kind of makes a case for Russia not being in on it, because Russia and China are the only other two militaries big enough. Now, if you throw all of NATO together, sure, but NATO's a tricky one to pull in, even though, yes, the United Nations and NATO and the OdinYion plan, the Zionist banker wars, etc., all this stuff, yeah, it is integrated, but there's only really one military that could pull this off, to destroy the Middle East enough to break it up into small nation states. It's the United States. So does that not now do you not understand why the Israeli lobby is so powerful in Washington? In other words, there is no United States. There's useful idiots, proxy army for Israel. Now, because people are waking up to this, they had to create another army. That army is Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. In other words, ISIS. So that's why they were created. Now, ISIS is going to be done away with. They could do away with them in 5 minutes if they want. But they're the useful idiots. Why? Because Obama, remember when he was talking about the varsity team, ISIS and ISIL and IS and whatever, got the whole alphabet in there, right? Well, remember one thing he said, that these guys were nothing, right? You don't have to worry about them. Then he made the case, remember the U.S. warships launching those cruise missiles in battery into Syria, taking out Bashar al-Assad's installations, the power grids, you remember that? That was only a couple of years ago. And the Obama came out buttering up the people to go to war because we have to overthrow this evil dictator in Syria who didn't attack anybody around him. Regime change became the number one thing, but the plea to the people to go to war in Syria, but after, just pretty much ending in, the occupation of Iraq, sort of, or taking a time out, we'll say, the people said no in America. They did not want to go boots on the ground. Hence, the new proxy army comes in. Al-Baghdadi, again, ex-Israeli Mossad agent, runs ISIS, right? There's no such thing as an ex-Mossad agent. There's a living Mossad agent, or a dead one. That's how you become an ex-Mossad agent. If you understand the Mossad, trust me, these people are pretty dedicated to their thing. That said, I'm pretty sure some of them may jump ship from time to time, but is this not kind of connecting the dots a bit better? And the people that figure this out, they do tend to get kind of mad about this. This is your rise of anti-Semitism in the Middle East. This is a part of it. It's not the only reason, but it is a part of it. So obviously, U.S. foreign policy and Israeli foreign policy is designed to create as much hatred. Even Paul Craig Roberts talked about this. Designed to create as much hatred for U.S. and Israel as much as possible. So there's only going to be a few ways to hold this coalition together. Number one, a war's got to break out. Now, they almost had Assad on the ropes, didn't they? But who comes in the 11th hour? And something, if you watch my World War III updates, I've been saying for a long time, when is Russia going to step in? They're going to step in at some point, because they know after Assad falls, Iran goes down next. We know about the open documents of taking out the Middle Eastern countries under the Bush administration, taking out 7 countries in 5 years. They're behind the plan right now. So Syria is about to fall. Iran would have been next. Obviously, that's why there's so much rhetoric to go to war with Iran. People aren't buying it. Iran hasn't attacked anybody in over 200 years. But you can understand now why every time Israel threatens to make a preemptive strike on Iran, Iran yells death to Israel. And right now, that strike window, I think, is almost off the table, considering how Russia is arming Iran. They've given them the S-300 missile systems. This is why you have missile palooza going on all throughout Europe to surround Russia. This is why Russia is now testing the most powerful nuclear missile this Sarmat coming in. This thing is a complete apocalyptic nightmare. The Russians are building up to this, and now they've successfully tested shooting down satellites. So they're getting ready for the big war too, because they know that if Iran falls, China and Russia are next. After that, the United States already has Pakistan to a degree. So that means you're right on putting missile systems directly on all sides of Russia and China. So this is the bigger plan, that type of thing. To basically conquer the Middle East, then to take down Russia and China. Who do you think they're going to use for the useful idiots to go shoot at these people? Again, if you're a U.S. soldier and you're over there, or even a Canadian soldier or any coalition soldier over there to fight ISIS, look at the rifles that they're shooting at you with. They're paid for, bought by the CIA. The CIA has already admitted that they have taken money, given it to Saudi Arabia to buy weapons to arm ISIS as a proxy army. The so-called moderate rebel groups always turn to be out to be these radical groups, which are not Syrian people, most of them. These are people coming in from the rest. These are mercenaries coming in from all over the place. You know, these are the batshit crazy mixed in with the money-hungry, blood-savage mercenaries, right? And that's what ISIS is. They're a proxy army. And to overthrow the Middle East so that the OdinYion plan can go through. Does this now make sense a bit? But anyway, we're going to continue. The idea that the Arab states should be broken down by Israel into small units occurred again and again in Israel's strategic thinking. For example, Zeviev Schiff, the military correspondent of Haaretz, H-A-Aretz, and probably the most knowledgeable in Israel on the topic, writes the best that can happen for Israel interest in Iraq is the dissolution of Iraq into a Shiite state and a Sunni state, and separated by the Kurdish part. Har Arazat, if I'm saying it right, 6/2/1982. Actually, the aspects of the plan is very old. The strong connection with the neoconservatives thought in the USA is very important, especially in their author's notes. But while lip service is paid to the idea of the defense of the West from Soviet power, the real aim of author and present Israel establishment is clear: to make imperial Israel into a world power. In other words, the aim of the Sharon is to deceive Americas after they have all deceived the rest. It is obvious that much of the relevant data, both in the notes and the text, is garbled or omitted, such as the financial help of the U.S. to Israel, which the aid goes into Israel from Canada, the United States, billions of dollars per year. Obama just hopped up a new few extra billion on there. Again, Obama is not against Israel. He's a puppet. He's controlled. He looks like he's a Muslim, but he's not a Muslim. Obama is all things to all people. If he's in front of Christians, he's a Christian. If he's in front of Muslims, he's a Muslim. If he's in front of Israelis, he's a Zionist. That's the way Obama is working. He's no different than any other president or prime minister or whatever. They're puppets. Much of it is in the pure fantasy, but the plan is not to be regarded as not influential, or not capable of realization of a short time. The plan faithfully geopolitics ideas current in Germany 1890 to 1933, in which swallowed whole by Hitler and the Nazi movement. The determine their aims for Eastern Europe. Those aims, especially the divisions of the existing states, were carried out in 1939 and 1941. Only the alliance on the global scale prevented their consolidation for the period of the time. Again, one thing I've said, Zionism and Nazism have a lot of commonalities. And if you know a little bit about Hitler, even if you're an anti-Hitler person, it is worth it to either read or get the audiobook or whatever it's out there of Mein Kampf. It will explain a lot of stuff that we are seeing now. Not pro-Hitler, I'm not anti-Hitler. He was a good guy, bad guy. He was everything. He's the gray area, the same thing we're talking about. There are no good guys when we're talking about people like this. There's just this quest for insatiable power, which is always nihilistic. But anyway, I digress. The notes of the author follow the text to avoid confusion. I did not add any notes on my own, but have put the substance of them into a foreword and conclusion at the end. I have, however, emphasized more proportions of the text. Israeli Shaka in 13th, 1982. The Strategy for Israel in the 1980s by OdinYion. This essay originally appeared in the Hebrew in the Kivunim, Kivunim, Directors, and the Journal of Judaism and Zionism, issue number 14 Winter, 5742, February 1982. Editor Yoram Beck. Editorial Committee Ella, EYAL, Yorman Beck, Amon Hardy, Johann Manor, Elser Schwind, SHWEID, published in the Department of Publicity of the World of Zionism Organizations, Jerusalem. Just going to check how I'm seeing. It's a pretty long article, but we need to get into the detail on this. This explains what we're going to be seeing in the future too. So this is where the backlash is coming from the Middle East of why there's so much anti-Semitism in the Middle East. Pretty much any Middle Eastern person doesn't have to read this. They know what's going on. They might not know why. Some might, most might. As the outset of the 1980s, the state of Israel is need a new perspective as to its place and its aims and national targets at home and abroad. This needs to become even more vital due to the number of central processes which the country and the region and the world are undergoing, where we live today in the early stages of the new epoch in human history, in which it is not all that similar to its predecessors. The characteristics and are totally different from what we have Heathrow known. This is why we need understanding of the central process in which typify this historical epoch, EPOCH, on the hand, and on the other hand, we need a world outlook and operational strategy in accordance with the new conditions. The existence, prosperities, and steadfasts of the Jewish state will depend upon the ability of adopting of a new framework for this domestic and foreign affairs. This epoch is characterized by several traits in which we can diagnose, which symbolizes the genuine revolution in our present lifestyle, and dominance is present in the breakdown of the rationalist, humanist outlook as the major cornerstone supporting the life and achievements of Western civilized nations, and the resistance, the political, social, economical views of which emanated from this foundation, from which, based upon several truths, which presently disappears. For example, the views that the main as individual and center of the universe, and everything exists in order to fulfill his basic material needs. The position being that the invalid in the presence of, when it comes to the clear, that the amount of resources in the cosmos does not meet man's requirements. That's funny. His economical needs or his demographic constraints in the world in which there are 4 billion human beings, and economic, mind you, this article was written a while back, right? So, emerges resources which do not grow proportionally to meet the needs of mankind. It is unrealistic to expect fulfilling the main requirements of Western society, i.e., I wish the aspirations of boundless consumption, the view that ethics play no part in the determination direction a man takes, but rather the material needs to do what view becoming prevalent today as we see the world in nearly all values disappearing. We are losing the ability to the simplest thing, especially when they concern the simple quest of the good meaning of what is good and what is evil. This kind of something that Hitler was talking about, that empire has to expand through powerful military. Again, Zionism and Nazism have a lot in common. Strangely enough, they will be opposing at some point. It's just supremacy group versus supremacy group when we're talking about the two. So this is why I say when I say Zionists and Nazis are almost one and the same. Even Hitler himself said that at some point the growth of the empire, so to speak, would have to expand because there wouldn't be enough resources for the people. And he knew this. He knew that at some point war was inevitable. Hence why so much power into the military. So who's adopted this? Well, the Zionists definitely studied what Hitler did and how he accomplished what he did, and they refined it. Is basically the strategy is refined. This is how you break down other nation states. You break down this. That's why we have all these crazy progressive lefty things going on here in Canada, the United States, and all that. Is to break down nationalism, to break down the family, break down nation states. So you break down the family first. This is where all your progressivism comes on. You break down nationalism. You break down patriotism. Divide and conquer. Nation states, bring them all down to nothing, rule over them all. Does that make sense? You tell me. Okay, so how am I doing for time here? Time flies, but there's a lot to cover here. I think there's going to be a two-part one for sure. The vision of man's limitless aspirations. I think I'm gonna hold it here because yeah, I've got almost about the same amount to cover and keep going. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause it here. Um, yeah, so if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Again, this is not to demonize any one person, but to understand the greater geopolitical things that are going on that will involve people getting sucked into the crosshairs of the bad apple. Meaning the bad apple theory is going to take hold. This is something Jews talk about. You hear them talk about how, why is everybody always blaming the Jews? The Jews did it. The Jews did it. Well, it's policies like this that put them under put them in the crosshairs unrealizingly. So in other words, one bad apple spoils the whole bunch. All white people are racist, all blacks are criminals, all Jews are Zionists and trying to control the world, all Muslims are terrorists. You get the idea, etc., etc., etc. The one bad apple theory comes in. The problem is we're looking at this plan now, which is a stepping stone of many things going on that play in together. People don't understand that your education, your media, your banking, the United Nations, NATO is one system. One world, the petrodollar is a one world system. It is one new world order, one world government is one system, and it follows a plan of supremacy over other. And you know, again, refined colonialism may have turned into a form of Nazism. Refined Nazism turns into the OdinYion plan. You see how it progresses. Communists never stop trying, but they usually always fail. The problem is how many people die in the process, right? So I'm going to leave it at that. So again, if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. If you want to make a couple of bucks for yourself, you can check out my TSU link. It doesn't cost you anything to join up, and you make a couple of bucks. Sign up down below. Plus, it gets your mind off all this serious stuff. The world's too serious sometimes, but we do have to discuss these things. Again, if you're Jewish and you're against these ideas, by all means, I won't call you a self-hating Jew. Again, I have nothing against the Jewish people per se, but I do have problems with the supremacy movement of Zionism. This does put the Jewish question and the final solution into people's minds. And if we don't bring this up, you know, again, you're the ones that are on the hook for it. Right now, I hope your suitcases are packed because the 110th expulsion of the Jews, which I do see coming in the next decade at least, maybe a little further out, but it's going to be a global solution that they're going to go for, meaning genocide them where you find them. And I'm not making threats. I'm saying heed the warning. If you can't see this coming, this is the plan that's going to lead those people to doing this to you. This happened 109 times in history. The difference now is we live in the globalized age where media is everywhere and people can basically communicate left, right, and center. People know what's going on. They know about these plans. One bad apple theory kicks in, you guys are screwed. You see what I'm saying? So for those who are curious why anti-Semitism is growing, I'd rather talk about this stuff so that people understand that it isn't all Jews, it isn't all Muslims, but there are people that are forcing the hand. And that's what needs to stop. If we stop sending money to Israel, stop backing Israel militarily, this stuff goes away. Maybe not all of it, but there's going to be blowback on this, and there's going to be hell to pay. That saying goes, you make your bed, you lie in it. This is the bed that the Zionist Jews. Zionism will kill the Jews. It will kill most of the Jews. And the Jews that do come out, again, they get treated even worse, it seems, than people who are anti-Semitic. Because the Jews themselves will, they'll cut each other's throats on anybody that goes against the Zionist plan. That just tells you how vile the Zionist plan actually is. They'll eat their own. That type of said. So for the Jews that are against this, it is in your best interest to scream loudly about it, that you're against it, because what I've been telling the Muslim population, yes, we keep hearing, oh no, it's not all Muslims, there's the moderate Muslims, but yet we keep seeing that, example after example. I used the guy in Belgium that was arrested the day before the attacks that was walking around free as a terrorist, supported by the community for months on end. People see that and then they say, well, there are no moderate Muslims. You know what I mean? And myself, I know there's moderate Muslims out there, but we need to hear from you. The same with the Jews. If you're against the Zionism, you need to scream loudly, because the Zionism is putting us right into that rise of nationalism and stuff like that, which can be a good thing. We need to close down the borders. We need to cut off the migrants and stuff like that, because these are plans that come in as a part of this OdinYion plan. It's just the Greater Israel Project isn't just about the Middle East. It's a global thing. It's a supremacy movement. It can be accomplished in several different ways. What I think they're doing with one of the things they're doing with the migrant crisis is to get people to hate Muslims so much that they're willing to go to war in the Middle East. Again, but people are starting to catch on. When you go to the war in the Middle East, you're being shot at by guys who are armed by your own government. That's not patriotism. That's like trying to bail out water in a boat with a hole in it. You need to patch that hole in the boat, meaning you need to put guys like Henry Kissinger, Zebra Brzezinski, Netanyahu, George Soros, all these people that get this stuff going, you need to put them in jail. And then, of course, the Israeli criminals, and then again, Bashar al-Assad, all of them, they're all bad. They're all bad. The Saudi royal family, they need to be freaking locked up too. It's all these wongbats that are, getting a lot of innocent people killed for nothing. So I know it's a tough topic. I know some people don't like these kind of topics, but you need to hear these topics. So anyway, next to that, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like. Be true to yourselves, be true to others. There will be more on this. It's going to take a long time to get. There's a lot of stuff to cover. This might be a fairly long series. But I think when people come to my channel, my regular followers are going to probably listen. Okay, this is what he's referring to when he says Nazism and Zionism are so similar. Although, yes, you can make the distinctions between the two, but the plan is similar. The methods are similar. They're using the same kind of supremacy to certain degrees, and that's where the gray area is, and we have to discuss that. And I think by people who want to ban stuff like that say, well, okay, no, we need to censor this. No, it's in your best interest to bring this to the forefront. Again, what we yell about now, we don't shoot about later. And again, not making any threats to anybody, but I do believe that we are going to be, by the end of the summer, we're going to see things not seen before in history. The 10th Crusade, what I refer to as the 10th Crusade, is in its infancy right now. It's just, when it snaps, people are going to be very confrontational against everybody. But the thing is there's certain groups that are going to get really hammered more than others. Zionist in the middle is a bad place for Jews to be. So if you're Jewish, renounce Zionism, renounce the plan. It's an insane one. It's going to get you killed. That said, it's people that are still on the Palestinian versus the Israeli fight, you're not seeing the big picture here. It's a global picture. It's much bigger than a handful of people here or a handful of people here who don't play well in the sandbox. It's global. And this will lead to massive global war. All right, so anyway, be true to yourselves, be true to others, always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day. G'day, hi, and welcome. All right, this is going to be, I guess, kind of like the part 2 of the rise of anti-Semitism. First off, I'm going to tell you, no, I'm not a Jew. And the reason I'm going to tell you that is because I'm on the outside looking in, and I'm basically going to bring up things that, yeah, it's going to be hard for some people to hear, stuff like that. But I think there's a lot of Jews that don't understand why anti-Semitism is rising. That type of thing. And there's a lot of things that I've covered in the, I guess you would say technically the first part. This is going to be kind of a bit of an ongoing thing, but things to kind of delve into the gray area rather than just the black and white. And what we're going to start with today is the Greater Israel Project. And I'll just start into it. And then, again, this is really, you take out of it whatever you take out of it. Whoops, sorry, you take out of it what you take out of it. So whether you call me anti-Semite or whatever, it's not about my opinion. This is about what people are witnessing going on and why there's a rise in anti-Semitism. And we're going to start with the Greater Israel Project. I know I wanted to start with Zionism, but I can't seem to find all my documents on that, but I will. So this one, sorry, let's get to it. This article was published on Global Research on April 29th, 2013. The Global Research's editor noted, the following document pertaining to the formation of the Greater Israel constitutes the cornerstone of the powerful Zionist factions within the current Netanyahu government. Which has recently been re-elected. The Likud, L-I-K-U-D party, as well within the Israeli military intelligence establishment. The election was fought by Netanyahu on a political platform which denies Palestinian statehood. According to the founding fathers of Zionism, Theodor Herzl, their area of the Jewish state stretches from the Brook of Egypt to the Euphrates. According to the Rabbi Fishman, the Promised Land extends from the river Egypt up to the Euphrates, including parts of Syria and Lebanon. When viewed in the current context, the war on Iraq in 2006, war on Lebanon, and 2011 war in Libya, an ongoing war on Syria, Iraq, and war in Yemen, and process of regime change in Egypt must be understood in relation to the Zionist plan for the Middle East. Sorry. The later consists in weakening, eventually fracturing neighborhood Arab states as a part of Israeli expansionism project. The Greater Israel consists of an area extending from the Nile Valley to the Euphrates. The Zionist project supports the Jewish settlement movement More broadly, involves policy of excluding Palestinians from Palestine, leading to the eventual annexation of both the West Bank and Gaza Strip to the State of Israel. The Greater Israel would create a number of proxy states, including parts of Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, the Sinai, as well as parts of Iraq, Saudi Arabia. See the map. I don't have the map here, but anyway. So, okay, I'm just going to scroll down a bit here. Again, and I'm not pro-Palestinian or anti-Israel or pro-Israel or anti-Palestine. What I'm pointing out here is this is what the agenda should be, is what they're following. So you'll kind of understand what's going on in the Middle East a little bit more. So, according to Mahdi Darius Nazarmaroya, if I said that right, in 2011 Global Research article, the YINON plan, YINON plan was Constitution of Britain colonial design in the Middle East. The YINON plan is the Israeli strategic plan to ensure Israeli regional superiority. It's insistent and stipulates that Israel must reconfigure its geopolitical environment through balkanization of the surrounding Arab states into smaller, weaker states. Hence the war in Syria, etc., etc. That's why the Israelis are arming ISIS and trained ISIS and stuff. Again, openly admitted by Israeli generals, who two have went to jail in the past 6 months or so for kind of spilling the beans on this. So yeah, so that kind of helps to that doesn't help their case. You know what I mean, like that type of thing. So anyway, keep going. Israeli strategies view Iraq as their biggest strategic challenge from the Arab states. This is why Iraq was outlined as a centerpiece to the balkanization of the Middle East and the Arab world. In Iraq, on the basis of concepts of the YINON plan, Israel's strategies have called for the division of Iraq, including Kurdish states and 2 Arab states. The Shiite Muslims and the other Sunni Muslims, one for Shiite Muslims, one for Sunni Muslims. The first step towards establishing this war between Iraq and Iran, which the YINON plan discusses. The Atlantic in 2008 and the U.S. Military Forces Journal in 2006 both published widely circulated maps that closely followed the outline of the YINON plan, aside from dividing Iraq, which the BID plan also calls for. YINON plan calls for a divided Lebanon, Egypt, and Syria, and partitioning of Iran, Turkey, Somalia, Pakistan, and also falling into lines with these views. YINON plan also calls for the dissolution in North Africa and forecast it as starting from Egypt and then spilling over into Sudan, Libya, and the rest of the region. Hence the overthrow of Gaddafi, the overthrow of Saddam, etc., etc. The Greater Israel requires the breakup and annexing Arab states into small states. The plan operates on 2 essential premises: the survival of Israel, number 1, become more regional power, number 2, must divide the whole area up into small states by disillusioning and annexing existing Arab states. Small here will depend on ethnic and sectarian composition of each state. Consequently, the Zionist hope is that the sectarian-based state becomes Israel's satellites, and ironically, it's more source of moral legitimation. This is not a new idea, nor does it surface for the first time in Zionist strategy thinking. Indeed, fragmented all Arab states into smaller united has been a reoccurring theme. YINON plan, see below. Okay, I'm just going to check something here. Okay, just want to make sure everything's going along good. Okay. Used in this context, the war on Syria and Iraq is part of the process of Israeli territorial expansion.